Today is a day to celebrate cookies, those famous little cutout gingerbread men. But I decided to go with taste over technique, and the results went over pretty darn well, let me tell you. Here's this week's Brittany's Bites. Happy National Gingerbread Cookie Day. So I feel like gingerbread cookies are a little bit divisive. I feel like you either love them or hate them. A lot of people probably just think of the little gingerbread men that they're pretty cute, but maybe you don't want to eat, or you're making gingerbread houses. Well, my goal today is to make you want to eat a gingerbread cookie, all on its own, no frills, no fuss, but one that'll be chewy and good, and you'll want to eat it and not just build a house with it. So we'll see if we can accomplish that today. We've got a couple of things started here. For our dry ingredients, we've just got flour, baking soda, salt, and a bunch of spices. You can imagine a lot of ginger goes into this. Then we've got nutmeg, cinnamon, and cloves as well. So we're just gonna whisk these all together, make sure everything is combined. And when I say a lot, we have 2.5 cups of flour in here, and we've got an entire tablespoon of ground ginger. You really wanna get that flavor in there. The other flavor that goes into this, coming up later, molasses. That's really where you get the flavor for these cookies. So we've got our dry ingredients ready to go. Over here in my stand mixer, I have 1.5 sticks of butter and a full cup of brown sugar. So we're going to get this going, and you want to beat this. Of course, I've had the butter softening over here. You really want to beat it until it's light and fluffy. I don't mean a minute, I mean several minutes. So we're going to get that going and get it all nice and light and fluffy. Okay, we've got it all nice and fluffy. I'm just gonna scrape down the sides here before we add some of our other ingredients. Two more things we're gonna add before we add the dry ingredients. We've got 1 egg, and I cracked it separately so that no shells make it into the bowl, and then we ruin our entire thing. Okay, so 1 egg, and then we've got another main ingredient, 1/4 cup of molasses. And I just lightly sprayed this dish, or this little mug here, so that it will hopefully pour right out. You know, they say slow as molasses for a reason. We'll see. I'm gonna help it along a little bit. It's coming out pretty nicely. There we go. We're gonna mix this up a little bit more and then add the dry ingredients. Okay, I'm actually gonna stop this for a second because I forgot one other key ingredient. I saw this online, and it's supposed to enhance the flavor even more. You probably have seen this with some chocolate chip cookies here and there, but I'm just gonna add in 2 tablespoons of coffee. Already made coffee, so you know, reserve some from the cup or the whole jar that you made this morning, or a pot I should say. Pour it in here, 2 tablespoons. Okay, all of our wet ingredients are mixed up. It's getting a really nice brown color to it too. I love it. Smelling great with all of those spices. So now we need to add our dry ingredients. Obviously, just like any sort of cookie recipe, you're gonna add it a little bit at a time. So I'm gonna add it, mix it, add it, mix it, and then we'll be good to go. Okay, we are almost good to go. I'm just gonna do one last little scrape down, and then what I'm gonna do is pop it into the fridge for just a few minutes. That's so good to do with cookie dough, especially if you're going to manipulate it in any way. It will try to keep those cookies a little bit light and fluffy, and it'll make it easier to work with it. So I just got the gingerbread cookie batter back out of the fridge. We're ready to go for our final step before they head into the oven. We're just gonna take a little scooper here, get little balls about 1 inch in diameter, roll them into some plain old sugar, and then put them on the sheet. And I have a silicone baking mat here, one of the best things ever invented in the kitchen. They make baking cookies so much easier. So here we go. I'm just gonna get a little scoop. You can get the kiddos to help you with this, right? And they don't have to be perfect, they'll even out in the oven, right? So we got about this big, roll that in the sugar, get it all the way around. And then you want to place them on the baking sheet. So I'm going to fill the baking sheet, leaving space between them, and then pop them in the oven, which has been preheated to 350 degrees for 12 to 14 minutes. That's all there is to it. Hopefully, we're going to make some cookies you're going to want to eat. Okay, I've just got the last batch of cookies out of the oven. Again, 12 to 14 minutes at 350 degrees. Gotta say, they look pretty great. I may or may not have sampled one just to make sure they tasted pretty great, and they do. I feel like even if you're not a huge gingerbread cookie fan, you may just like these, and I promised that they were going to be not the snappy kind. They're not ginger snaps. They're not gonna be like the gingerbread men. They're going to be nice and chewy, so we'll just check on one and see. Look at that. It almost crumbles. It's so nice and soft. So if you want a soft, chewy gingerbread cookie, this one is for you. Give it a shot. You might just like it. Cheers. Well, if you have a recipe you'd like to share or an idea for a future segment, definitely send it our way. You can text us at 614-460-3345 or find me on social media.